Once again, this is the Get To Free Press. I'm George Boston Ryans, and I traveled over to Ware County to interview another young lady who have a story to tell. And what's your name?
Jeanette Thomas.
And we're in Waycross, Georgia, right?
We're in Waycross, Georgia.
Okay, and years ago, I was called to this area. And would you please kind of enlighten me in terms of why did I come over and tell the people that watch this video, why did you call to Get To Free Press and what happened to you?
I called Mr. George Boston Ryan in reference to my grandson, Nathaniel Lee III, April the 10th, 2009. He was murdered here in Waycross, Georgia. This is his father, Nathaniel Jr. He was down here because his father had a birthday party and he was down here visiting. Upon him being down here visiting, he had an uncle, his daddy's brother, that my grandson was with at the time. The time I mean is that my grandson was with his uncle Nathan Lee. And we don't know the whole details, but the ideal is that he was with his uncle, and his uncle took him with him. And upon him being in the company of his uncle, he was murdered by two white boys, David Reynolds, the shooter, Andrew Mills. Both of these boys was convicted felons. And Andrew Mills had just got out of prison, which they called him, AKA Hitler. Yeah. He has it tattooed on his arm. But during the process of my grandson passing away, I got a phone call about 12 that night, right here at the address where I'm at now. I was called to say that my grandson had passed away. During that time, I just dropped the phone. I told my daughter I got to go. My daughter, which is his mother, Cecilia Tyson Jackson, was on her way here to Waycross, Georgia, from Jacksonville, Florida, to pick him up that weekend. And so, upon that, they was to come to my house during that Easter weekend, okay? So, but in the meantime, when I got here, I went straight to the hospital. Going to the hospital, got there, I asked, can I see my grandson? They told me no. The doctor that did the procedure, whatever, he told me no. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit.
Well, what actually happened to him?
What happened, for what we was told, that my grandson was with his Uncle Nathan, and they went over to Waller Street, to a house where these white boys was at. And we was told that there was a party going on there, okay? And the lie that was told to us, that my grandson went in there to rob these guys of their drugs. Now let me clear something up right now. First of all, my grandson don't know nobody here in Waycross, Georgia, but his daddies and his aunties. He has never been here as much as to come here and for anybody here to get to know him but his granddaddy and his daddy's people, okay? And so they stated that my grandson went in the house.
But when you say they, now
I'm sorry. The DA, what it was, Barnhill.
District Attorney Barnhill.
Yeah, District Attorney George Barnhill.
Okay, now before you go there, hold your point right there. Hold your point. District Attorney Barnhill, the people in earlier videos that I interviewed, they talk about how crooked Barnhill and unfair he is.
Correct.
And he's also tied up in Brunswick with that case over there with Albury, and he also had something to do with some other people that I've interviewed. So you saying it's still kicking back to something Barnhill did to District Attorney?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. But during the time, District Attorney Barnhill, George Barnhill Sr., and Rick Curry, the DA at the time, Rick Curry was the DA, Barnhill was assistant DA, but Barnhill was the prosecutor attorney for my grandson Nathaniel Lee III case. But what they was telling us that it was a drug deal gone bad. My grandson never was involved with hanging with anybody with drugs. He doesn't have a criminal record, okay? He was going to FCCJ there in Jacksonville, Florida to get his GED. Why? Because he was scared to go to school there in Jacksonville, Florida. So my daughter put him in FCCJ in Jacksonville, Florida, college there, going to get his GED, excuse me. But anyway, so they stated to us that he's supposed to have a...
Look, when you say they, I need to specify the law enforcement or if it's a civilian. That's why it's important, if it's law enforcement. Because most people that talk to they have something that the district attorney or the police department didn't do, they should have done, and it all points to a unjust judicial system, according to what everybody talk about. So let's specify what you're talking about.
The prosecuting attorney, George Barnhill, when we went in to meet them at the Ware County Courthouse there, it was told to us that this was a drug deal, robbery gone bad. And my grandson went in there to rob David Reynolds of his drugs. And from some of the stuff what was told to us, that Andrew Mills, the shooter, said to them that my grandson came out the room with his arm around David Reynolds' neck and said that my grandson had a gun, which that was a lie. Had the gun pointed to his side. Stated that Reynolds said that he was trying to rob him of his drugs and take his money. So, from what the prosecuting attorneys in them was letting us know, that my grandson was shot because Mills stated, Andrew Mills, the shooter, stated that he turned with the gun as he got ready to leave out the door. But they never said that he was leaving out the door.
They who?
I'm sorry, I keep saying it, Lord help me. Barnhill and them didn't never, D.A. Barnhill and Rick Kirby didn't never say that Nathaniel Lee III, my grandson, turned David Reynolds loose. All we was told that Nathaniel was leaving out the door and Mills shot him from inside the house, shot him in the back. And so the other information from the DAs that we got was stated that my grandson stumbled at the door and went out the door, and he went down to the neighbor's house, told them that someone had shot him. Miss Carter, the neighbor, told me that my grandson came down there, had his hands up, saying he didn't have nothing on him, he wasn't no threat. Would y'all call the police? Somebody shot me in the back. Upon that, Miss Carter stated to me that her husband came and got her because she was a retired nurse. Mr. Carter, her husband, came and got her. They put him on the porch. While he was on the porch, she was looking and attending to him. They called 911. 911 came. The first responders came. They didn't have no oxygen, she told me. So they had to dispatch a second ambulance. Miss Carter told me, and upon them dispatching a second ambulance, before the ambulance got there, she said he started regurgitating blood, okay? And so after the second ambulance got there, they put him in the ambulance. And upon them putting my grandson Nathaniel Lee III in the ambulance, Miss Carter said she walked up to the ambulance and the police that was there, and from what my paperwork states, that it was Detective Merrick, one of the investigating officers, and Josie Poncell was one of the investigating officers on the scene. So upon them being in the ambulance, she said, Miss Carter said that she walked up to the ambulance, asked them, could she get a family number to call the family member? And she told me, that dog told me no. Okay, so within the questioning of Nathaniel, they was questioning my grandson, we was told, and that and Miss Carter told them, you need to get him to the hospital. And Miss Carter told me that she kept telling them, y'all need to go, you need to get him to the hospital and all. And so with them questioning Nathaniel Lee Ponsell and Mary, we was told that one of the police officers went back to the house to find out what happened. After they got back to the house, it was told to them, we don't know nothing about no shooting. Ain't nobody got shot down here. We don't know nothing about no shooting. And the police officer that went there, then he comes back to the ambulance, and I don't know exactly was he talking to Nate, but this was what the DAs was telling us what had happened. Okay, so what was said. And so upon that, we have questions to what really happened in that house. Now, I had a girlfriend of a witness. I was at Walmart the day before we got ready to bury my grandson. And a girlfriend of mine, friend, was there, which I don't hate to say this, but this was a white female. She walked up to my friend and she was talking to my friend. My friend was telling her about what happened. She walked up to me and she said, ma'am, I'm sorry. And I can't call this lady's name right now. But she said, ma'am, she said, I'm sorry for what happened to your grandson. But my boyfriend was there. And I said, hold on a minute. So I went and got my daughter. I bought my daughter back. We stood there. So, I like to call her name. But she told me, she said, my boyfriend told me that this young man was standing on the outside in the yard like he didn't know exactly where he was at. And she said that my boyfriend told me that they shot their child for no reason at all. And so that information, when we went to a meeting to talk to the DAs, we told them, Barnhill and Rick Curry, we told them, and I think Sheriff Royer was there, and we told them exactly what was given to us about what was said. Let me back up a minute. What I'm saying is, I told them what Miss Carter told me at the time they was there at the incident and all. So we questioned the DAs about a weapon. We questioned the DAs about, was there any blood in the house? They told us no. We questioned them about a gun. They didn't want to answer that part. So right now, we are in the middle of 11 years now. No, it's 11 years. His birthday. 10 years. 10 years of trying to still get justice for my grandson, Nathaniel Lee III. And for right now, we know that he was with his uncle. And his uncle, Nathan Lee, knew these white boys. From what we was told, that he went to school with these white boys. And he knew them. But also, during a preliminary hearing, we went to on, January the 11th. Hear me well, people.
January 11th, what year?
2010. Hear me well again, people. The family showed up at this little pre-hearing that was about David Reynolds, due to the fact that this house was a drug house. David Reynolds went in excuse me, I'm trying to gather everything together, people, because I don't want to say nothing wrong. David Reynolds' pre-trial, a little hearing case, was about him having marijuana and guns and other stuff in that house. And they was gonna drop the marijuana charge from a felony down to a misdemeanor. The family showed up, and his father can tell you who called him. The family showed up there, and upon us being at that hearing, we sitting there. Well, we stood outside in the hallway of the Ware County Courthouse for a good little while. Then they called us in the courtroom. Once we got in the courtroom, I walked over to Tammy, one of the victim advocates that works with Barnhill, George Barnhill and Rick Curry, the two DAs. I asked her what was going on. She told me she'll get back with me. We sit in there for about an hour. They finally came out. Upon them coming back out, starting this little pre-trial, supposed to have been only about David Reynolds. Now let me clear something up here. Anytime they got ready to have anything in reference to these two boys, David Reynolds and Andrew Mills, about my grandson, we wanted to be there. We don't care what it was about. We wanted to be there. Now, these two boys were bound over for malice murder to go to jury trial. Upon them turned over, they're supposed to be going to jury trial. As of this day, we have not been to trial. But I will get back to that little pre-hearing. While we was in that pre-hearing, they finally came out. Once they came out, they had a few witnesses there. The few witnesses there, they put them on the stand. Upon each witness on the stand, they asked questions. We come to find out they added Nathaniel Lee III, my grandson, his son, to the case. We couldn't figure that out. Why is it that you're adding my grandson in on this case when we was just here because it was a matter about David Reynolds and his drug that he had in the house? So we sit there and we listen to all the witnesses. We listen to the lawyer for the two men, David Reynolds and Andrew Mills, with Thig pen. So upon this little pre-hearing, we sit there. All of a sudden, everyone got on that witness stand to tell what happened. Although they put Nathaniel, my grandson, in with David Reynolds' pre-trial. Every one of them was asked, do you know Nathaniel Lee III? Everyone, I mean, was Thig pen, their lawyer. And when Barnhill and Rick Curry talked to them and asked them what happened that day at that house and all, they said that they went and picked what her name was. Not her. Oh Jesus, I can't call the girl name. She said that she went and picked my grandson up. But we know that wasn't true because not Samantha. That wasn't true because my grandson was with his uncle, Nathan Lee. And so within that time frame, we listened to every witness stating about the question that was asked. The question that was asked was, what did Nathaniel Lee III do? Who is Nathaniel Lee III? Mine, every witness stated that they did not know Nathaniel Lee III, my grandson. They said, I know Nathan. Every one of these witnesses say, I know Nathan. Nathan is his uncle. And so, well, what did Nathaniel Lee III do? Everybody said, I don't know Nathaniel Lee III. I know Nathan. So we sit there and we listen to the lawyer Thig pen, Barnhill, D.A. Barnhill, D.A. Rick Curry, and Judge Gibson did not cross-examine them, telling Thig pen that you cannot say this, you know. They said nothing. They sit there. And the whole while, we sit in there listening to these people. And by the grace of God, David Reynolds, when they questioned the one that was there for, that was his hearing, asked him, well, what did he get? Did he get your drug? He didn't get my drug. He didn't get my money. I wasn't gonna let him get my drug. He didn't get my drugs. He didn't get my money. He kept saying it. Okay, and so after then, they decided that they would go and make a decision to say that he was a threat to the people that was at the house. He, meaning my grandson, Nathaniel III, had a gun, and he turned, and Andrew Mills decided to shoot my grandson because the gun was pointed to the people that was in there. Now let me say this, people. The question was asked, everybody that was a witness on that stand, when Andrew Mills shot the gun, shot the rifle, excuse me, it was a rifle, 22 rifle, shot the rifle, what did you do? The DA asked him, what did you do? Did you get up? Did you say anything? Did you do anything? Every one of them people said, no, no, no. Now, you know, if anybody's shooting a weapon on the inside, I've been to this house is a small house. Anybody that's gonna shoot a gun, whether small, large, or what, you're gonna run. You're gonna get out of there, okay? But they told the hearing, no, didn't nobody move, didn't nobody do nothing. But yet still, my grandson was shot in the back. But the witnesses put my grandson outside, standing in the yard, and when a question came up about, not Samantha, a question came up about one of the witnesses, and they asked her about what did he do. And so she said that he said, I'll get him. Now we heard this about my grandson stating that I would get him, meaning he would get his uncle. Now that's our opinion, but that's what we was told. When we heard the witnesses, each witness said, he said, I'll get him. And so pretty much by me doing the footwork for my daughter, because at the time my daughter was out of it, and his daddy was kind of out of it too, and all. But trying to gather information and find out information, going over and talking to Miss Carter that day, kind of broke my heart. But yet and still, I was still the footwork for my child. And within that time frame in that courtroom, they dropped the malice murder charge on both of those boys. How can you do that when David Reynolds and Andrew Mills being the shooter, shot my grandson in the back? One of the I think it was Mary, told us that my grandson was, they said meaning Barnhill, Rick Curry and them, my grandson was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And amongst them saying he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, now you turns around and you want to say he went in there to rob somebody. He went in there to get drugs, or rob them of their drugs. Which now David Reynolds sit up in the witness stand in front of Judge Gibson and George Barnhill and Rick Curry and Thigpen and said he didn't get his drugs. He didn't get his money. And so we sit there and we had a question about that. But you saying to us in there that he was in there and he was a threat to the people that was in there. Now my question is, I have paperwork. Every one of them had a phone. Quite naturally, they could have videoed what happened in there that day. Why wasn't there a video to be shown to the police of what they said transpired at their house on April the 10th, 2009? So we're in a question. This is a question about this whole deal. Somebody lied. D.A. Barnhill and Rick Curry, and of course, Judge Gibson, sit there and just throwed my grandson away. Throwed this whole case away. Due to the fact that you all knew these boys anyway. These boys been in and out of jail for selling drugs, and on my tape that I have, for selling drugs ever since they were 14. David Reynolds said ever since he was 14. Andrew Mills said ever since he was 14. I have the tapes. So our question is, We want to have our day in court. We never got to have our day in court. My son, John Lee Jones Jr., was killed in Jacksonville, Florida on his job by 2 black boys. They sent me a subpoena to come to court. Why didn't Waycross send my daughter or his father a subpoena to come to court? Mr. Rhyme, they said that we done went to court because they took and added my grandson in on David Renner's little pre-trial. And after that was over with and they had everybody to leave, Rick Curry took us around the hallway trying to explain to us what happened. We said, what happened? Why did they drop the mass murder charge? Oh, they dropped the wrong charge. We said, pick it back up. Let me check into it. And then he tells my daughter and them that you have to come up with something else. With
more evidence is what they told us.
Yeah.
But being that said that,
Say who you is.
I'm Nathaniel Lee Jr., Nathaniel Lee III's father. And when those boys got detained, locked up, I just so happened to be in town that day, and my cousin told me, "Oh, you know those boys are going up for bail, right?" I say, "No." I say, "Well, the victims advocates and the DA's office, they supposed to contact me." So I went up to me and my cousin went up to the office, and I sat there with Rick Curry, and we talked. I said, well, how come they're not notifying me that these boys are getting on the bond? Well, we don't have your info. I say, well, you got all of our information. Well, he told me at that time, I need you to go back there to my secretary, give her your information, so that any other trial or whatever comes up with them, we will contact you. And they contacted me several weeks later in reference to them going to a hearing about the drug charges. Nothing about my son's murder, but the drug charges. This is what they told me. But when we get there, and this little hearing that's going on, you know, because Thigpen, their attorney, requested that Judge Gibson sit on the bench. He requested that, you know, that he sit on it, which Thigpen is friends with Judge Gibson. And that's why I let all my family know, let everybody know, hey, they're having a hearing today about the drug charges. But when we get in there, you know, they started talking out about the drug charges, and then all of a sudden it started shifting to my son. But everybody that Thigpen called on the stand in question, everybody kept saying, yeah, Nathan. But Thigpen corrected them. Oh, you meant Nathaniel Lee? Oh, yeah. So he basically coursed them along. When they said Nathan, which is my brother, they kept calling out Nathan. My son don't go by Nathan. They kept calling out Nathan because they didn't know my son. And every witness that got up there stated a different, everybody stated something different that happened. That they say my son went in there to rob Reynolds. And that he came out of the room with the gun. Everybody got up there and stated something different. One witness said he came out with the gun in his side. One witness said he came out with it in his back. And the person that was supposed to have the gun on him that he came out of the room with, Reynolds, said he had it to his head. Mm-hmm. So everybody had a different account on what happened. And then in the process of that, you know, one of the guys that worked at my sister's shop, he was incarcerated, but he was a trustee. He cut hair in there. He got these boys ready to go in front of the judge. He talked to Mills. Because they were in the shop talking, and my sister called me and said, you need to talk to this guy. We were in here talking about your son's case, and this guy overheard it, one of the barbers, he want to talk to you. So I talked to him. He said, look, he said, I don't know what happened, what went on, but I heard about this when I was in there cutting this guy's hair getting him ready for court the next day. Andrew Mills. He said, the guy told me, I don't know why I'm the only one locked up. I was told, shoot that nigga. And he did it. But they led us on in that little hearing that they had to believe that we were in there for the drug charges. That's what we went in there for, think, okay, it's a drug charge. So in the whole while, the prosecuting attorney, which was Barnhill, I sat like 2 benches behind him. He never got up and cross-examined none of the witnesses. I actually spoke out. Are you not gonna question them about what's going on? Everybody that got up there said a different account on what happened. And you're just gonna sit there and say nothing. He didn't even turn around and look at me. He sat there and said nothing. And then at the end of it, the ruling, about the drug charges. This is what was heard. The drug charges. At the end of it, the next day we get the paper, all charges have been dropped.
Well, they said they said right in the courtroom that the malice murder charges have been dropped. The parents went to hooping and hollering and going on, and we sitting there like, what's done happened? And again, like I said, Rick Curry took us around the corner. Rick Curry in the courtroom. I couldn't figure out why you took us out the courtroom around a hallway, Mr. Ryan. And he talking to just us. It was more than me and the daddy and my daughter. And you said they dropped the wrong charges. They were supposed to be dropping the marijuana charge down to a misdemeanor because it was a felony marijuana charge. The man been selling drugs. You already got a record of him. You all know. My grandson don't have no record. Also, they stated that they all was in there doing drugs. It was a drug house. They all was in there doing drugs. But why did my grandson didn't have nothing in his system? He said y'all were drinking, y'all were doing drugs. The autopsy ain't showed nothing he had in his system. Okay? So this is why we over the years, we still been trying to fight for justice. We had some people that was supposed to be called saying they was going to help us. We went to Washington twice. The first person we went to Washington with, and I'm not going to say her name, I could. It don't matter with me, Miss Ruby Sales. And she had us believing that she was going to, wanted the state university there in Washington, D.C., she was going to get some of the college students that were studying law to help us out. Okay, this was going on 2 years. We went and we got transcript, me and his daddy, and paid for transcript paperwork to get. And so we sitting there waiting on her. And all of a sudden, we did a conference interview over the phone. Mm-hmm. And I spoke out I said, wait a minute. I say, are you using my grandson's name out there to gain, raise money? And after I said that, then this lady got mad, and she didn't have nothing else to do with us no more. Well, you the one who said if it walked like a duck, talk like a duck, it is a duck. I told that to her. I said, well, you said if it walked like a duck, talk like a duck, it is a duck. So now, you told us you was gonna do all this, we never heard from you. But it's just the whole ideal of something is not right. And I read over everything that I had. And some of the statements that was printed by the DA, if you really see
What DA?
Barnhill, Rick Curry, Barnhill, and Merrick, the investigating officer, and Poncell. Some of this information in the transcript, some of them I'm not going to even go into, that was stated in there, you could tell it was a lie. The whole story was a lie. And Samantha, that was her name, not Samantha Sapp, what the other girl's name? I had it on my tongue, but I'm sorry. But Samantha Sapp was the girlfriend of the shooter. Okay? And she's sitting in there Oh. And what I'm finna say now is I'm not gonna say exactly what, because this is something that, another thing that we can take to court to reopen the charge up. But she said, he came out with his hand, like I said earlier, with his hand around his neck, and he had the gun in his side. He had the cell phone in his hand. Mr. Rhyme, how many hands we got? 2. Okay. But then you all didn't question her. No, wait, now you calling out too many things. But there's a catch in between the gun, the hand around his neck, and the gun in his side. And I'll explain that to you, not on camera.
Right.
And so we're sitting there and we're looking, okay. So it's just a lot of discrepancies in this whole hearing about this case, what happened with my grandson.
Okay, you drawn that out so long, to be honest with you, it's gonna be hard to follow it. Because it's so drawn out. It's being simple, being straightforward with you. But short form in less than a half, 30 seconds, what happened to your son?
My son was murdered by 2 white boys. Nathaniel Lee III was murdered by David Reynolds and Andrew Mills, shot in the back. And as of now, we don't know exactly the whole detail, but we want justice for my grandson. We want to have our day in court that they stole away from us at David Reynolds' pretrial.
Okay. And because you did not get justice for your grandson, you believe, to the best of your ability, that the district attorney and others was a part of something that resulted in you not getting justice.
Yes, they just sit by and, Lord help me, they sit there and decided to, in my opinion, and the family, because some family members knew what his name, Judge Gibson, Rick Curry, and I don't know if they knew Thigpen, Barnhill. Lord help me, Thigpen and Judge Gibson. We was told that they knew them, the family.
But they're all friends.
Yes, and I don't know about Rick Curry, the DA, and Barnhill.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Now, I got some questions I want to ask you in closing. But before I get to the closing, you called me over here several times. I've been to several protesters, right?
Yeah.
And I made videos, right?
Yes.
And it's posted on my YouTube channel, Boston GBR, right?
Yes.
And somewhere in those videos, different people have talked about the case.
Yes.
And you marched, you protest. Did you ever go to his gravesite?
Yes.
All right. And all this is already captured. So
Right.
a lot of things that you said probably been said on some of these videos before, right? Some of the stuff that you said.
No, because we didn't go into
detail.
No, we did not go into the details at the time.
So what do you have on the videos?
I think we just mostly talked. Well, I didn't. I talked to you. We was over to Gallatin Heights one Sunday. The news people from Jacksonville were down here, and you interviewed me, and I talked about my grandson being murdered here in Waycross,
Okay.
Georgia.
But as far as the district attorney and these lies and stuff, you didn't get into that.
No.
At all?
No. We didn't go
Why
into
not?
that at the time.
Why not?
Well, at the time when we first started out, you have people telling you to mind what you say or be careful. And then my daughter, due to the fact that she just wasn't ready yet, and she couldn't speak, she didn't want me to say anything. And I understood that. But as I was telling her about the news people, I asked Jacksonville News, I called Atlanta News, I think I called Valdosta News. I called these news people to come to every visual that we had had. No one would show up. And upon that Sunday that we was over there in Gallatin Heights, they was over there for the shooting of a young man that got, the police came in the apartment and shot him. I don't know the whole detail. But I walked over and I spoke to one of the Jacksonville newsmen, gave them a flyer to come that day. They was there that Friday. That I told them we was having a visual I think that's Saturday. And I asked them, you know, would they come? So he took the flyer. But we never got the news people to come to any event that we have had. So and that upsetted us about that.
So who did you have to rely on to get any kind of exposure out?
Besides you, Mr. Boston Ryan, videoing the story, I went back to Washington, D.C. with, Lord, I can't think of the name of that group. The gentleman was named Mr. Chimaranga, and I went back to Washington, D.C. to tell my story. While I was there at the college there was the lady that her son got killed on, they left him on the sidewalk. There was all those other different people there in Washington, D.C. that day. And I got to talk to Roland Martin.
Rowan Martin, yeah.
Yes, I got to talk to some of the lawyers that was there. And I'm sorry I can't call their name. It's some paperwork.
But anything ever come out of Roland Martin? Did anything ever come out of it?
No, they
okay, so to make a long story short,
the
reason I asked you the question is because everybody that I talked to this morning in the interview, they say black people don't have a news media to tell their story.
No, they don't.
So you bear witness that black people in South Georgia don't have no white news media, and they own them all, to tell your story. So therefore, the public, the general public, are left in a state of blindness. They don't know what in the hell going on, am I right?
Right.
And if there was not for a social media guy by the name of George Boston Ryan with the Getto Free Press, who District Attorney Barnhill wrote in an email to Bobby Worthy that I was an uncertified news media organization. So if I am an uncertified news media organization, where in the hell or heaven are those that are certified when the people in the black community need them?
Correct, yes. And I also called Mr. L. Sharpton organization. And I did get to talk to one of the young ladies in his organization.
National Action Network.
Yes, that anytime we got ready to have something, that they would come. Well, they did, let me go back. They did get an okay from Mr. Al Sharpton to be a part of our rally, or be a part of any information that we had. So I think the third or the fourth rally that we had, I called this young lady, and I think another death had happened somewhere up the road. And she said that they was having a march. I think it was in Atlanta. I think it was in Atlanta, Georgia. But anyway, she said that they was having a march and they couldn't come. So I didn't hear any more from them, okay? But I did get in touch with the Jacksonville News. Every event that we had, I tried to call these people and I tried to get them down here. Now let me also say this. The new Waycross Herald here in Waycross, Georgia, we got the first visual posted in the newspaper. The rest of the visual, that we was having, oh Lord, what is the man's name of the news people there? I went and I took the paperwork, the flyers for them to put it in their newspaper. And the word came out of his mouth was, oh, that's the person that went in there to rob somebody a drug. And I said, you don't know that. How can you judge somebody you don't even know what happened? And so he said, well, I'm not going to put it in there. And from then on, we never got any more information posted in the newspaper, Waycross Journal Herald here.
Okay, you also have TV stations here.
Yes.
Did they do anything?
No.
Did they come?
No.
So you having visuals about a loved one, big groups of people coming from Florida, 'cause I know some came from Florida all around. Something that would have galvanized some other cities in Georgia and the United States. The news media would be concerned enough to show up.
Yes.
But here in Ware County, they left you on your own.
Right.
And a little social media guy,
Yeah.
George Boss Rhyme to get
George
to free
Boss
press.
Rhyme,
And
yeah.
by the way, according to District Attorney Barnhill, an uncertified news media. But the ones who are certified, according to him, it seems like there's a possibility that they must be in the clique and among the slicks.
Yeah.
And what set me off from them, that he would want to call me what he called me, because he know that I report what others ignore. I've been doing it for a long time.
Right. Right.
So, with that in, the question I ask you is this. If you had an opportunity to stand before this camera or sit and ask former President Barack Obama, Al Sharpton, Rachel Maddow, Victor Blackwell, Mr. Lemon, 48 Hours, 60 Minutes, Dateline, Your Line, or any other line, especially the Atlanta Journal and Constitution, and the news media Associated Press in the state of Georgia, what would you ask them?
Well, first of all, I have every one of these, most of them, CNN, and what is her name, the other lady?
Don't matter, but just make the point, because I asked them all
Anyway,
together.
I would let them know what happened, first of all, here in Waycross, Georgia, about what happened to my grandson. And I would let them know.
My question to you is this. What you have stated here today, and I'm not going to edit this out because I cut you off. I'm not going to edit that out. I'm going to leave it where it is. My question is the same as I asked you when I started. If you had access to all the news media that I just mentioned, what question would you ask them about your situation, knowing that you haven't got no news media at all? What would you say to them? That's my question. Because in America, we have a free press that's supposed to report the news. So my question is, a lot of this stuff been sent to them, by the way. I know that. So my question is, what would you ask them?
I would ask them, why wouldn't they have came and did an interview about my grandson's murder case here in Waycross, Georgia? Why is it that when we call you all and ask you all to come to Waycross, Georgia, no one shows up? And I feel as though that if you would have came, that the story would have got out about what went on here in Waycross, Georgia, in reference to my grandson, and also that Waycross, Georgia has problems with cases here as well that are not being heard. That's the question that I would ask them.
Okay.
Why?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Olivia Coley-Pearson said the same thing that you said. Without question, the black people in South Georgia and Middle Georgia that I have documented are all crying out the same way. We do not have a news media that will come to the black community and report what's going on unless they pick them up for drugs or a traffic violation or something, or domestic. Other than that, it's as if though
We don't matter.
you don't matter.
Yeah, we don't matter.
I have proven this. I have covered approximately 30 cities across the state about voter fraud, alleged voter fraud, voter intimidation, voter impediments, voter suppression, and removing blacks from office after they are elected. I have that documented. And not one news media will collectively go to all these places that this uncertified news organization, according to District Attorney Barnhill, will connect the dots from all the places I've covered. And while I'm at it, to make it so crystal clear, this uncertified news media will call to the Madison, Florida 9 because they brought them black people up on charges. I was called to Brooks County with equipment 10 plus 2. They brought them up on charges. All of them was cleared. The people in Madison, Florida, most of them was cleared. A pro bono out of Tallahassee came in to take that case because they said it was a disgrace to what they had done to them people. Then from there I was called to Meigs with Linda Harris. They got rid of her. From there I was called to Camilla, Georgia. They tried to get rid of Rufus Davis, the mayor, before they got rid of him. Then from there I went to Lumpkin, Georgia, with Mayor Charles Gibson and Naya. From there I was called to Dawson, Georgia. From Dawson, Georgia, I was called to Clayton County, Georgia. From Clayton County, Georgia, I was called to Warrenton, Georgia, with Mayor George Ivey. From there I was called to Hancock County and Sparta, Georgia. From there I was called to Davisboro, Georgia. From there I was called to Terriffair County, Georgia. From there I was called to Nichols, Georgia, where they took $750,000, and it's going right back to Sansock and what's going on here in this judicial circuit. And District Attorney Barnhill haven't said nothing about that, nor have anyone said that the city of Nichols, Georgia, had not had any kind of audit in over 10 years, and it's required by law that they have at least an annual every year. The white clerk that sits behind the desk told me, along with the NAAC president, can't think of his name, right up the road there, he said, he witnessed this, when the secretary said she's sick of it herself and she was white. Presley is his name, NAACP Presley. He said that Sansock and the district attorney in those had been running that case out and would not bring the person who took that $750 up, would never bring it to court. Wait a minute, haven't finished yet. Then I was called to a place called Willacoochee, Georgia, where the mayor was paying black people to vote for him. He was driving a state representative car to campaign, and when Bobby Worthy, NACP, Larry Lockett, District Attorney, what the other brother name? Marine guy, retired Marine guy. You know him, you can't think of it. But the other guy, can't think of it right now, it'll come to me. When they called all the news media to be at a press conference in Willacoochee to talk about this, and they called me too. I'm the only one showed up because that was not news to them.
Right.
Wait a minute, I haven't finished yet. Then I was called to Homerville, Georgia. Y'all heard of Homerville, right? Where Councilman Witherspoon, Bobby Worthy, and Reverend Malone here in Waycross stood before City Council and told them, read documentation to them. I got it on videos, on my video, just like your stuff on video. And they said that City Councilman Witherspoon had a homestead exemption in the state of Florida. He had a homestead exemption in Lowndes County, Georgia, and he was holding public office in Homerville and don't even have a domicile there. And when they went to the county attorney didn't do nothing about it and ran Bobby Worthy out of the room because he told them, y'all didn't even notify this man for him to be at the hearing. And here you go again. They don't want you at these hearings. That way they do you like they want to do. Now that's another case, you see. So, Mr. District Attorney Barnhill, you call me an uncertified news organization, Mr. Barnhill. But now, Mr. Barnhill, now it seems like to me that what you've been doing as a district attorney, in my most humble opinion, maybe you're not certified to be an in the position you were in.
Correct.
Now, I don't know if y'all know it or not. You know this same Barnhill is tied up with the Brunswick situation over there?
Yes.
You know he recused himself from that? Now, so what I gathered from a reliable source, that all of the cases that Barnhill have been dealing with needs to be investigated. That means your case too
Yes.
may need to be investigated with Diane Roberson and the other people that I've interviewed, plus others. So now, probably won't nothing ever happen about that. Because number one, we don't have no news media in the state of Georgia, including Atlanta Journal and Constitution, including WSB out of Atlanta, including CSN and the rest of them. The things that I just mentioned to y'all,
Yes.
they could care less about that. Yet, they will say that they are concerned about voting rights and voter suppression and taking away the vote, but they have not went one time to these places that I've called. And more sickening is the former chairman of the Democratic Party, DuBose Porter, wouldn't even address not one of those places that I called. Not one. And did I call Gordon, Georgia, y'all?
No.
I miss Gordon. And I'm gonna call, see, there's other, I mean, I call a few of them. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. I think I did pretty good for a man 68 years old. But in Gordon, Georgia, Mary Ann Whipperloo, she's a fighter, just like Olivia Coley Pearson. Wait a minute, I forgot Douglas too. I forgot to mention Douglas.
Yeah.
So I'm tempted to mention what they did to her too.
Yeah.
Because she went to court twice. And they tried to railroad her. But Mary Ann Whipperloo, before she took office after she was elected mayor of Gordon, it was the white folk. I'm gonna say it again. So y'all, a lot of y'all think white folks are y'all enemies. But you better keep y'all on these black folks.
I know that's right.
The white people told Mary Ann Whipperloo, and I got it recorded. She said it was white folks called her, told her, if you take office, you better get a forensic audit. Not an annual audit, but a forensic audit to count for the money, because those people been taking money from the people of Gordon. The finance chair, he dead now, Terry Reese. He asked in public meetings, I used to travel all the way up there too, didn't get paid for it. Maybe that's why I'm an uncertified news media organization, District Attorney Barnhill.
So they won't
I went up there because I cared. The former finance chair said this. And he said in front of the forensic audit, they called in, but they shot it down every time. There is $1.5 million that ain't accounted for. And he was the finance chair. He said this city with less than 3,000 people got 19 banking accounts. And I don't know how much money in those accounts. And until this day, Mary Ann Whipperloo, the news media in the Middle District of Georgia, in the Macon area, lied on Olivia Coley Pearson. Mary Ann Whipperloo. I got proof to show it. I'm not gonna lie on them.
Yeah.
And they caused her to lose the election by the lies fed in the news media.
Yes.
Now, channel 13, 21, 47, whatever it is, y'all wanna call me in, call me in. But if you check my last video where I interviewed Mary Ann Whipperloo, it will prove to you that y'all lied. And when Mayor Turner gave his statement about you didn't have no racial problems in Gordon, my video will disapprove that. Because on February the 5th, 2015, when I was riding on a public highway near the bank there, a group of whites called me a nigger. And the Mayor Pro Tem was in the group with that group that called me a nigger.
Wow.
And I'm not offended by a nigger because I'm at least of average intelligence. I know what a nigger means. In ancient Egypt, a nigger meant a very spiritual being that was close to God. That's what nigger meant in ancient Egypt. White folk know that we are spiritual people.
Yes.
And so they tried to give it a dirty name. But somewhere I read, and ye shall know the truth. For when you know the truth, District Attorney Barnhill, the truth will set you free. And when you don't know the truth, Brother Barnhill, there ain't no telling where you end up at.
Yeah.
And I hope to God that they investigate all his cases, do a thorough investigation on him, and if he's set free, and if the truth is told, he deserves it. But if not, then like he said, maybe he'll be proven to be maybe not so certified. Now, another question I asked everybody, and this is my last question. What do you hope and pray will happen in your search for justice? And will this news media ever change here in Ware County?
What I would love to see is for my grandson Nathaniel Lee III name to be clear of the lies that was told of my grandson. I would love to see changes here in Waycross, Georgia, at that courthouse there, in reference to all those that was involved with the lies and the injustice that we went through in reference to my grandson Nathaniel Lee III, because we need to have our day in court. And amongst trying to get the news people here, and they never showed up. And I have names and phone numbers of those same people, I wanted to say earlier, of the news people that I did try to call and get in touch with. So that's my question. Give us justice for my grandson Nathaniel Lee III. Give us justice to clear his name, because you all know that my grandson did not do what y'all decide to say he did. And because you all knew these family members that was involved with killing my grandson.
And they were white?
And they were two white boys. And again, I got to say this. On the arm of the shooter, he has AKA Hitler. Okay, people?
Say that again.
He has AKA Hitler on his shoulder. Okay? It's in my transcript. So that's no lie. Okay? So give us justice. That's all we ask y'all. Give us justice for the murder of my grandson. Shot in the back. Shot in the back, people. If he did all what you said he did and he was in that house, how did he get shot in the back? Not only that, why didn't some of the people get pellets on them from the shooting of the 22 rifle? Nobody got up, nobody said nothing. So that in itself tells you something is not right. Give us justice.
Okay, and that was done under the auspices and the jurisdiction of who? Give them names of them people again. Special district attorney who called me an uncertified, make sure you call his name.
During the year of 2000 and April of 2010, the people involved with being the DA, Rick Curry, Barnhill, the assistant DA at the time of this case, Lawyer Thigpen, Judge Gibson, the judge sitting on the bench. And also I would like to say this, I forgot to tell you. I went to the city hall with Mr. Larry O'Hara.
That's the one, that was the name I told you about.
Larry Lockett, NAACP.
Well, Larry O'Hara was the district attorney, district coordinator when I in.
Exactly. Also, Larry Lockett, Larry O'Hara was with us from day one with this case, okay, people? But what I was trying to say, that when I went to the city hall with Larry Lockett, I got to speak. And these gentlemen was from up north somewhere, and I don't know their name. But this case was not supposed to be at the city, Ware County City Court. This case happened in the county. It was supposed to be handled at the county. Any court situation or anything that went on was supposed to be in the county. So reason why I'm saying what I'm saying to you all out there is that why was my grandson's name added in here in the city court when this incident happened in the county? The gentleman that was at the city hall told me, well, you need to go to the county. That's a county case. Go talk to the sheriff there in the county, which was Sheriff Royer.
Yeah.
Sheriff Royer. Sheriff Royer was in there when the man was talking to me. Judge Gibson was in there when the man was talking to me. D.A. Barnhill was in there when the man talked to me. D.A. Barnhill, oh, that case don't went to court. I say, you a lie. We have never went to court yet. Right in front of them. The gentleman took over the conversation. He said, go to the county. Talk to the sheriff there in the county. That case supposed to be in the county. So there again, people, it shows you that they up at that courthouse, Barnhill, Rick Curry, Judge Gibson, even the sheriff, Royer, all of them is in hoop with each other because they know what happened, and they know that my grandson was talking in that ambulance that day. And today we still don't know the two investigative officers what he said to them when they was talking to him in that ambulance. Why did my grandson die at the hospital when he was talking? My grandson was talking. We got it on tape. He was talking to them. But all of a sudden, you hold the ambulance up after Miss Carter done told you to go. Take him on to the hospital. Then when he gets to the hospital, whatever they did there, then he passed away. We want justice. Something is not right about this case. And we just want to be heard. That's what we want to do. My daughter's not here right now, but his daddy is here. And these are the two that are going to be talking to get the word out about their son. He's my grandson. But I had to stand in for my daughter, Cecilia Tyson Jackson, Jeanette Thomas, her mother. So all we asking for justice. Give us justice. Give us an opportunity to find out what happened to my grandson.
Okay,
That's all we ask.
Thank you very much. As a father, I'm going to let you say the final words, man. Close us out.
Okay, basically all we want is justice. We want our day in court. Like I said, they snatched that from us without us even knowing it. They led us in there on a hearing telling us one thing, but then when it's all over with, it's a different story. So we just want our day in court. And I want my son's name cleared because they're not who they say he is. Whatever they saying that he did or whatever, that wasn't my son. And we want his name cleared. And for Barnhill and them just to sit there and not question these people that Thick Pen put on the stand that were at the house, it just wasn't called for.
Okay. All right, let's say that we, by hocus pocus or by the God Spirit, some news media outlet in America or some lawyer or some good certified journalist would want to call you all and ask you some questions. Do y'all have a phone number to add to this video?
Yes.
So they can contact you, and are you willing to talk to them? Because they don't need to call me.
Yes.
They call you, you're all able to talk for yourself. You improve that.
Yes.
Give some numbers out, or an email address or something.
So I'm Nathaniel Lee. My phone number is 678-462-3686. Or you can reach me at, my email address is natelee@yahoo.com. And I'm ready to talk and willing to talk about this. We've been waiting for 10 years now, fighting this. And all they can tell us up there is, you need more evidence. You need more evidence, when the evidence is already there. But they wanted to overlook it. The evidence is there in the transcripts, in the CDs, all the recordings. The evidence is there. They just didn't want to look at it. So that's my information. If anybody wants to talk to me or contact me, you can reach me at those informations.
Thank you very much.
I'm Nathaniel Lee III's grandmother, Jeanette Thomas. You can call me at 912-281-9744. My Gmail is lowkey, JEANETTE period, EV, V is in victory, EVERN period, Thomas at gmail.com.
Thank you very much. I was called let's see, what day? Last week. And somebody said to me, Brian, would you be willing, in fact, that person not even here, but I may have to travel to their cities. I got 2 or 3 cities that wasn't here today, so I may travel. You wasn't over there today, so I came here. But I may go and record them. They asked me, Ryan, with all of this that's going on across the nation with Black Lives Matter, do you think we matter? That's what I was asked.
Exactly.
Because I told y'all, I said, I don't know if you heard that, I told you I'd given up this up.
Yes, you
I told you I
did.
wasn't gonna do this
saw.
no more.
Yes, you did.
Because I'm tired of helping my people and they don't show no appreciation
Yes.
Right.
as I perceive it. And I've been doing this since 75.
Yes.
But I told Olivia, I said, I'll do this one thing. Mostly I'm gonna work in Valdosta now. I'm not gonna be going out like I used to.
Right.
I used to go all over. All down in Florida, in New Orleans. They sent me out there to the home office of Walmart.
Wow.
Washington, D.C., one day my name came up. And they chose me out of 141 people to be in Bentonville, Arkansas, to present my case before the home office of Walmart Stores Incorporated. And we all was almost arrested. So I didn't start doing this yesterday, but I'm to the point now when I am beginning to let it go.
I also will give y'all my daughter Cecilia Tyson Jackson phone number. That's the mother of Nathaniel Lee III. Her phone number is 904-554-8306. I don't have her email right now.
Thank you very much.
Please
Thank
give
y'all
them
very
a
much.
call.
This is the Get To Free Press. I'm George Boss Ryan. Thank y'all so much. You didn't have to be here, but I thank you for standing up. So many people that sat down, and that's why things ain't straightened out today. But by standing up, hopefully we can get it straight. And with the help of Black Lives Matter and the rest of the people willing to stand up, we'll get it done. Whoop, there it is.
Woo, there it is. Justice for Nathaniel.